on the unceded and ancestral territories of the Squamish and Statliam Nations. This is our Finance Committee meeting. We have an agenda recommendation.
That the agenda of this meeting be approved.
Second.
Thanks, Melissa. Thank you, Lisa. All in favor? Great. Moving on to the minutes. We have a recommendation, but it says reference materials. Okay, so nobody needs to read that? All right, so moving on to number 3. Do we have any trustee items at this time? No? Number 4, information items, quarterly. Did I hear something online?
Okay.
Information items, A, quarterly financial report. Go ahead, please, Alana.
Hi, Danielle starts. I'm waiting for people to start and see. Hi, everybody. I'm opening the file and we'll share screen in a second.
Okay.
I think your camera's closed. Okay, while Elena's going, so while we're waiting for Elena, Elena is going to be presenting the 6 months ended as of December 31st, 2025. So 6 months results. So that's July to December, the expenses versus the budget for this year. So she's going to go over that. She has that up right now, but we'll have to get you to zoom in, Elena. So you can see the
July to December 2025.
July 1st to December 2025. So it's
Okay.
6 months, basically 6 months worth of expenses and revenues in comparison to the budget. That's still a little bit pretty small on the screen. I don't know if everybody else.
Well, we have the link in it.
Yeah,
In our,
They can open it up.
yeah, but this isn't open.
How does it look now?
okay.
I don't know, something is happening. It's already 1:40. Oh. So like Danielle said, this report covers our 25-26 operations from July 1st to December 31st, 2025. It's the second quarter. And it's broken into 3 funds, like you all know, operating capital and special purpose fund, and also compares to current year annual budget. Also has the same period numbers for the prior year and compares prior year to prior year annual budget to see the progress throughout the year. Operating fund is our main fund that is spent on instructions, maintenance of buildings, transportation, and is funded through enrollment. And ministry grants for the 2 quarters were 26.3 million. It was not yet adjusted to full student count, so it's still our amended budget numbers because the tables with adjusted grants was released in December 15 and the report was due December 9. So these operating grants do not represent adjustment for student count in September. Local educational agreement is the same number like previous quarter, 599,000. Next update of this revenue will be in January. International student fees, 847,000, is a little bit behind the budget 37. It's expected 40%. This is because we have 6.1 FTE international student less in amended budget than in annual budget. So the in amended budget will be less revenue from this source. Other fees and contributions, 1.4 million. The major source of this kind of revenue is non-deferrable portion of school-generated funds. Also, such revenues like donations, grants, and non-capitalized portion of annual facility grant and agreements with other school districts contribute to this amount. Rentals and leases, 242,000, trending very good comparing to budget. Investment, I highlighted slightly here because it's behind the last year. It's even behind the budget because of reduced rates and reduced balances. So we hope, we will not have to adjust it in amended budget. Total revenue in operating fund is 29.6 million or 42.4% of annual budget. Expenditures in operating fund comprised of salaries, wages, and benefits of 24.6 million. Again, I said it last quarter that we did adjust benefit rates because we knew carriers increased rates, but negotiated pay rates for teachers and support staff had not been yet increased. So these are still payments based on prior year rates, and backdated, like retro pay will happen when negotiations is over. So 5.2 million is service and supplies in operating fund for the total expenditures in this fund of 29.8 million. So operating deficit is 207,000. And it's covered by the use of prior year accumulated operating surplus. Special purpose fund consists of grants with specific purpose, with specific eligible expenses, or most of, like big part of it is classroom enhancement fund, also community link, Ready Set Learn French grant. Revenues are recognized here when expenses occurred. So once we incur expenses, we recognize exactly the same amount in revenue, and the rest is deferred. So that's why special purpose fund doesn't have surplus or deficit. So salaries, wages, and benefits from special purpose funds for 4.1 million, and 0.8 million was services and supplies. Capital fund consists of capital transactions, and revenue is amortization of deferred contributions that we receive from the province or capital funds. And 2.1 million is expense of capital fund, which is amortization of tangible capital assets. Capital deficit is 252,000. For the total, for 2 quarters of 25-26, we have 36.4 million of total revenues of all 3 funds. 36.9 expenses, or 41.9%. This quarter compares very similarly to last year's same period last year, except for international and investment income. The rest is very similar, and district keeps monitoring the expenses and make changes as required to stick to the budget. You have any questions?
Again, if I may, for yourself, and you're feeling tracking along nicely. You pointed out some of the outliers, but other than that, we're where we should be at this time of the year.
Yeah, Danielle will provide more details on updated budget.
Yeah, one of the things I guess that we also talked about is I did ask Elena to look into where we're at for sick leave, because that's been an issue. So we had put 2.4 million in the budget, which is pretty close to what we spent last year. We are tracking a little bit higher than that, so I'll have to have a discussion. Looking like it's closer to 2.5 possibly.
We should say I want us to be a little more conservative than prior years, because hoping, right, not to see too much of an increase. So That isn't, wasn't. It's not predictable, because I wanted to be a little more conservative. In monies put aside, because it's budgeted ties up. Right, so I'd rather look to find the savings elsewhere if necessary than to lock in at 275 or something like that.
And you're still talking about sick days.
Yes.
Is it because we have more employees or just more employees taking sick days?
Sure. We haven't looked too closely into it. We just looked at it very briefly the other day. I was just curious. So we'll look at it closer, see if it
Maybe it's just the time of year.
could be, like last year in February. we got-
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Okay.
I don't think she, I think the chair may not have heard you.
I'm sorry, what was that? Oh, sorry, Celeste, I didn't see. Go ahead.
We talked a lot about the community surplus and and I just wanted to get clarification on now we're seeing a deficit of around 270,000. What's expected when we get to the
Yeah.
into what where are you?
Well, that depends on a lot of things that we don't have power sometimes over, like, those that comes to my mind, sick leave, and also negotiation in progress. We don't know what will be negotiated and what
Right.
rate increase. Even so, that part is like we expect to be covered by the province for negotiated rates. But in the annual budget, we budgeted 1.9 million deficit covered by the use of accumulated surplus. So right now we are trending less than that, which not necessarily means that we will have less deficit or will have to use less of accumulated surplus than we budgeted. Actually, our amended budget that is work in progress that will be due in February has less use of accumulated surplus. But our key parameters that we are checking against is from our policies that 1 to 4% of unrestricted recent accumulated surplus we must have for contingency. So, and right now we're all right. We are meeting this requirement.
I raise it only because we've talked about the accumulated surplus, and it is not something that is indefinite, like eventually it will come to a point where we can't touch it anymore. And so I was just wanting to check in about how concerned you are about that at this time, given that we're seeing a deficit in this quarterly report. And just, I think, to reiterate sort of what maybe what Chris was speaking to, but more generally, how the expectation should be across the school district that we might have to see tightening up of spending over the coming years, and just for that to always be part of these discussions so that it will never be a surprise to the public when there are things we may have to say no to.
There are cost pressures. There are things that all districts are affected. Besides monitoring budget and sticking to it, it's one thing, but there are cost pressures that districts in the province already completed 2 surveys for the ministry, kind of sharing their experience with cost pressures. So we are trying to share our problems with the ministry and deliver the information that it's hard to keep up with cost.
And then if I may just go up in public, I was saying to the board, one of the things we've talked about as well, we're grateful to the province providing monies for things like capital projects and EFG. As we continue to have aging buildings and infrastructure, without approvals for things like replacement schools, etc., then those costs to maintain and upgrade existing aging structures also increase. And as you mentioned, pressures from increased labor costs, materials, etc. So just want to provide that context as well. Thank you. So let's bring that up for the board and for the public that we do anticipate increased costs moving forward as we continue to try and ensure we have great spaces for working and learning for the folks we serve, but that does come with costs. And we know it's limited budgets that we do get from the ministry to apply. So there'll be some decisions as we go forward. So, yeah.
Any other comments or questions for Elena? No? We ready? Move on to Danielle's piece. Okay, moving on to information item B, budget update. Danielle.
Okay, so at the last board meeting, I let everyone know that we thought the grant tables might be delayed by the ministry. And in fact, they weren't delayed. We did get them right before the winter break. So I'll just give some highlights that we got, we received for the budget across the province. So across the province, there has been a decrease of 2,675 FTE, which is a decrease of 0.5% compared to the previous year for September 2024. And despite the enrollment decline, there were still 18 school districts that had enrollment increases. So we know just through talking with our colleagues, a lot of the metro area is down significantly in enrollment. So the province saw a decrease of student FTE of 2,900, and that was offset by an increase of online learners of 573 across the province. Year over year, the province had a decrease of Indigenous students of 46. And just for, I mean, we'll get into that in the next board meeting, but just we're seeing that happen here in our school district. We're down 30 Indigenous students. So 279, there was 279 more English language learners across the province. And across the province, inclusive ed enrollment increased by 3,000 students. So we will have the updated budget, the district budget at the next board meeting, the 3 readings in February. Just to reiterate sort of what Elena said, all of the funding, all the funding that we received came in as expected. We did receive some additional tripartite funding that we had applied for. And that was related to transportation of some Squamish Nation students to that Squamish Nation themselves are transporting the students to our schools for different variety of reasons, or for students who are unable to take the bus, or the parents are unable to drive them. So we are able to get funding for that. We're going to be working with Squamish Nation to provide them funding to help get those students to our schools. So that was really great news. We also received national school food program funding of $94,000. So that was a little bit of a surprise because last year we only received 13,000. So it was more than we received last year. So it's just some general updates on the budget.
Celeste.
You mentioned that we've noticed a decline in enrollment of Indigenous students in our school district. Maybe not at this meeting, but at a future meeting. Could you explain to us if that's students leaving the school district in the later years or graduating out and then just there happening to be not in as many students enrolling, or like what's going on there? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's the last,
Yeah.
it's just the
Yeah.
population goes as slowed in terms of where bubbles. So we're not seeing students leaving.
Okay, it's not people saying goodbye.
That's a good question. No.
Okay.
It's, well, I would think it's probably representative of the entire population. And the Indigenous number is probably no different, I would think. It's just the trend of, I think, right? It's just the growth trend. Yeah. You good?
Any other questions?
No? Okay, we move on to number 5, discussion items and some information about our upcoming partner group meeting. I don't know, Chris, do you want to take it or Danielle?
Yeah, that's ready to go.
Okay.
Right?
I'm just gonna pull up the agenda and then. it hasn't- So this is basically the same agenda we had last year. So just wanted to see if there was any feedback. On the presentation, how, timing, all that stuff. The agenda for this coming partner group meeting. Comments? Suggestions?
Anybody? No, looks good.
Good.
Go ahead.
How are we seeking feedback from participants? Do we normally survey them afterwards or just speak with them on the day about if the process that we've been using for the last few years feels effective for participants?
We could use it, we haven't done anything formal,
Hmm.
it's always been informal, just in conversation, but that's something the board
That
likes to consider.
that could be even better, like informal might even be better, maybe even while we're all
Yeah,
there,
in the
like
moment.
in the moment, like I would even maybe just take a few notes speaking with people on the day, like if we all endeavored
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
just informally get feedback in the moment. How did this feel for you? Like, is there anything you could do differently? And then just bring it back for discussion rather than no one, we all need another survey and otherwise like we need, another meeting. But maybe just informally, if we can kind of all go in with the mindset of like, let's see if we can get some qualitative data to come back and talk about this just based on what we heard, because we on purpose asked people in that night.
And we have the opportunity. We're all sitting in individual tables. We're spread out. It's
There's-
easy enough to do.
Totally, yeah.
I just never thought of doing it.
It is and feel rushed at times, depending on if folks are on time, if we can go in on time, and
Right.
there will be certain topics that we know are top of mind for some groups than others.
Right.
So, yeah, we can always strive to do better, but also those can be a little bit messy.
Right.
3 hours that we have or so.
Okay, it's
I
coming
appreciate
quickly.
the work the last couple of years of trying to tighten things up.
Mhm.
Giving information ahead of time, et cetera.
Mhm.
Still not doing so. Good, thank you.
Melissa did see this earlier today, so I don't know.
No, sounds good. I like the suggestion of,
Yeah, I do too.
yeah, and then it also gets us more engaged with.
Mhm. Were you sharing the budget survey results or what?
Yes,
Yes.
okay, so the
Go ahead.
budget survey results are there, but actually I have. A separate spreadsheet that I'm gonna pull up just to show you. Just to show you some analysis. All calendar. So I actually we did do this Excel spreadsheet last year, but now I have last year's data and this year's data, so we can look at it. Side by side. How is that for sides? Do we need it to zoom in at all? Or
A little bit, maybe.
a little bit
Yeah.
better?
Yeah, better. Thank you.
So.
Danielle.
Yeah.
Were respondents able to select more than one? Like I'm just scrolling through. And like, for example. How satisfied are you with access to site-based learning resources? And it's like, it's almost 300%. Percentages. Sorry.
Sorry, I missed that.
Oh, like on page 9, I'm looking at the pie chart. And it says 94% said that they're what is it, somewhat satisfied. 71% said that they're satisfied. Like it almost adds up to 300%.
Oh, sorry, that's actually not the percentages. So when you see it says 71, that's the number of people, and then beside it, it says 25%.
Oh, so it's not 71.5.
No, it's-
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
You see how it says
I
20.
am getting my glasses updated, so there's my excuse.
But
If it was French, it would be right on.
That's right. That's, okay, thank you.
Me too, actually. I was like, did we look at it like this last year? But we did. It looked like that last year. But yeah. Okay, so what I did, and similar last couple of years, what I did for. Archie helped me with this, so thank you, Archie, is that we grouped the satisfied, somewhat satisfied and neutral. So you can see here.
Mhm.
And then over year here.
Mhm.
So actually, in this particular area, the facilities were up. Except for in custody. You're over there. And then. We're down, obviously that means if we're up, then we'd be down.
Oh, look at this.
Satisfied. Somewhat satisfied, somewhat dissatisfied and dissatisfied. And if we go to transportation. This one's down. So that makes sense, that would be offset to it. And student programming here slightly up, this one's down, offset here. And for learning resources, almost exactly the same, except we're up with access to educational technology. And then there's something like dissatisfied or down. With regards to learning resources. So I didn't want to go through each one of the graphs, but you can all do that. Yeah, but I just wanted to show you this.
Mhm.
That's really interesting. And it's, sorry.
That's really interesting. So it looks like the 8%, if you scroll down, the access to educational technology, that was like the biggest number.
Why it's up. They're satisfied.
Right, but what, because they've,
Like, it's you to a centralized model where we're actually ensuring we're investing for equity across the system.
Yeah, so.
So we have people on cycles now to ensure that schools are getting technology and getting the upgrades. So it used to be when we were decentralized and schools are responsible for filling in the gaps. So we chose last year to move to a centralized model. It saves money, we can track it, we can.
Yeah.
Again, we're, as you know, we're moving towards providing students with the device that they keep. For the, you know.
So it's up. I just interpreted it wrong. I was like, it should be up because we've done things.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay,
so
sorry, I just read it wrong.
Here.
Yeah, okay.
This column here, that means it's up. Plus. So yeah, so like Chris mentioned, so now we've centralized a lot of technology, a lot of that's under itself now. And so I'm working closely with the IT manager and we're making sure that devices, iPads and Chromebooks are being distributed equally, and then everybody like, trying to work on making sure that the schools all have equal access to technology. There's not like have and have not schools. So we're working on that.
I think for the record, I'll just say I do anticipate, you know, there has been some pushback. Because if you were in a school, say it was an elementary school, and there were more iPads at that school. And we've determined, you know, every kid doesn't need an iPad, it's more about, you know. Access when necessary, and people should be sharing iPads. There will be some schools that will actually not have as many as they might have before. But that's again to ensure best practices with access to those devices and that equity piece. So just a caution that, you know, contextually. Again, as you see, if you drill down into the results, different sites might have slightly different results. But overall, we think we're doing a good job, and I'm glad because that was a big investment that we're seeing a positive result. But just to say there'll still be some folks, you know, say, what do you mean more? My kid tells me they used to have their own cart and now they have to share it.
Right.
Yes, you have to share that. It's true. iPads are very expensive. And we want to ensure that all kids in all schools have access to iPads.
But an elementary school classroom is going to be less likely to be demanding it than like you really need it at the middle school and high school level.
That's
Yeah, exactly, that's what we focused on this year, is making sure that the middle school and the high schools had those devices. And that they had enough. So we did spend quite a bit on that this year. But that was the plan, so we might be spending a little bit less this year coming up for 26, 27 because we got the start of it rolling. Yeah,
And when we go to a cycle, then we have predictable, sustained funding, right? You know, the cycle is your school is active a couple of years rather than a hodgepodge. I think that's more financially sustainable.
okay, any questions on this?
Yeah,
part at all?
I do. When you're talking about like iPads, for example, and you said about the carts and sharing the carts, I thought we were in a place where we had assigned a device to each student to go through, like it's seeming different grade. Okay,
7 and
okay,
up,
all right.
middle school and up.
Middle school and up, we do have that where they're assigned, like say in grade 6 until, or grade 7 until they get to grade 12.
Not all sites, but that's what we're moving to.
What we're moving towards is giving a student in grade, when they get to Don Ross Middle, a device that they will then graduate with or hand back when they graduate.
Yes, because we put on plastic Chromebooks that have
Okay.
that shelf life. And
Good.
an easy replacement of parts.
Right.
Plus-
Well, it gives them ownership too, and so they're not mistreating them if they own it, right?
Responsibility.
Yeah. But that is not true at elementary schools.
No.
Okay, thank you for the clarity. Go ahead, Daniel. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Okay. Is anything else on this table? Or I'm just gonna stop sharing, but just want to be in regards to the survey, the report, does anybody have any feedback? You'd like to see different for next year? No.
I think we can continue to work on ensuring folks not just opportunities to provide that, but just the friendly reminders. Please take part, because I do note, you know, we have some schools represented quite well, and yes, they tend to be the schools of more population. However, there's other sites where I think I would like to have heard more from families, from kids.
Mhm.
Teachers do a great job of
Mhm.
recording, so really happy to see that, but I think we can always think of ways to
Right.
open the door and provide access for people. So thank you to everybody who did take part in this survey. Like to encourage more people to take part.
Are we good, Danielle? All right, so that moves us on.
I
Thanks. That was up first.
I got you better
Probably
job.
the same question. Just for clarity, it says 5 trustees. Is that because 2 trustees would have registered as parent?
So you're able to take it, like you're able.
Multiple? Okay.
So if
Okay.
there's only 5 trustees.
Or they may have entered it as parent and chosen.
They could
Okay.
have done.
Okay.
Go ahead, Celeste.
The other thing I just wanted to say, Chris, in terms of the response rate, sometimes when you have a lower response rate, it could be because things are okay
Yeah.
at that particular school site as well, and things are being managed locally. And so not to be disheartened by the lack of responses. When people are angry, they usually show up to tell you about it. So
Yeah.
it could be that things are going well in those school sites that you haven't heard much as well.
Seeing nobody else. I just checked with Archie. We have no action items. So I can move to number 7. Danielle, questions of clarification from the public. Nothing?
Yeah.
Okay, so I move that this meeting is adjourned. Our next meeting starts at